right, everybody. Welcome to the Sunday show. Yeah, it's still the Sunday show, but we're trying a new segment out here, the 2024. So, the year 2024. Yeah, inspirational, right? How are you doing, Lawrence? 2024. So.
Oh, I'm doing good. Just woken up from my sleep from Thursday night.
All right, so look, you and I and whoever else is going to join us is going to talk for about 20 minutes, and then we'll go through the comments section, the chat box. So anybody out there has got questions about what's going on in the summer market, let me know. The transfer window, if you just want to throw any questions in general. And this is a time to interact. It being summertime, we're going to try this 45-minute show. So I have set the timer, and we'll be out of here in 45 minutes. So it's going to be a quick, sharp one for us, Lawrence. And, we're going to be talking about Sesko today, Douglas Luiz, maybe Ramsdale, Trossard and Martinelli, Ten Hag. I've got a couple notes here, Ortega and Ederson and Kevin De Bruyne. And if you have anything to mention, Lawrence, just let me know as well. We throw it in. It's just going to be a general conversation. But I suppose, what do you want to start off with? We'll start off with Sesko, right? Is that okay with you?
Yeah.
Let's do that.
Sure.
So the club and the player have said they want to get something done before the Euros starts. So that's going to be on Friday. So there's some reports out there today saying Sesko's decision is quite close. And then other people thinking it might be held on till after the Euros. What are your thoughts on it?
Well, I'll be amazed if anything is done by Friday. I really will, because Arsenal are well known for dragging their heels when it comes to these transfers. And when I read comments like what I've read over the last few days, that he wants to come and join us, I feel like I'm living a deja vu moment, because I seem to remember a certain Ukraine player saying the same exact thing when we were linked with him. Mm-hmm. Oh, it's a done deal. He wants to come. He's been an Arsenal fan all his life. He's got an Arsenal cannon tattooed on his ankle. Mm-hmm. Then look what happens. Chelsea come steaming in, and there's something telling me that the same thing will happen again.
Yeah, and look, we got Chelsea. Chelsea are involved in this conversation for this player as well, Lawrence.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it's deja vu, all over again. And I'm not one of these ITK people who superimpose a player's head onto an Arsenal kit or check the flights of when the player's plane is landing in London, like certain parts of our fan base do, i.e. the African contingent. Because every time I go onto the Facebook page of one of these African Arsenal fans, they've got the timetable for the plane that the player is boarding, what time it's going to arrive in London, as well as superimposing the player's face onto an Arsenal shirt. Yeah. I only believe transfers when there's an actual real photograph of that player holding up an Arsenal shirt with his name and squad number on the back of it.
Yeah. We have a few people who have joined us. I see we've got a few people have joined us now. Russ Morgan's in the chat box as well. So listen, this 2024 segment, drop a question, drop a comment. We'll highlight that in the second part of the show here. So we're going to go about 24 minutes talking and about 20 minutes attacking your questions, attacking your comments. There is a buyout clause with the Sesko deal as well. And there is a possibility, there is a feeling out there, Lawrence, that the player has agreed to personal terms. That's the first thing that will happen. The club will contact the player. They will talk about wages. They will talk about how Mikel Arteta probably will have been involved in the conversation, how we see him fitting into the side and giving him some assurances. You can't guarantee a player that they're going to get all the minutes in the world, but give him assurances as to how he fits in and how we want him to fit in. And of course, up against Chelsea, who are in the Conference League, we have Champions League football to offer the player as well. 20-year-old from RB Leipzig.
Yeah, I mean, if he does sign for us, great. You know, we've got a target man, which is what we need.
I suppose this is hyping him up a little bit, but I do see some kind of Haaland. I do see some Haaland about him, Erling Haaland. Big, strong, physical. He's got some pace about him. What are your thoughts on the early YouTube compilations that you've seen on him?
To be honest, I haven't seen anything of him.
Yeah.
You know, I'm in the dark about him. I mean, I've read he's of the Haaland ilk. You know, he holds the ball up well, and he gets his fair quota of goals, which is what we need. I've been saying this all along. For us to challenge City, we need an out-and-out striker that can get 20, 25 goals a season. You know, I firmly believe that's what stopped us from winning the league last year. We didn't have that out-and-out striker that could bag in his quota of goals. Whether he could do it for us, who knows, you know. As I said, I'm keeping an open mind on this. If he joins us, great. If he doesn't join us, you know, on to the next. But by all the reports I've read about him, he is clinical in front of goal, which was one of our failings from last season. We didn't create enough up front.
Yeah. But
we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. And you know, the thing, the importance of this window for Arsenal will be growing the strength of our bench, the strength of the substitutes bench, so that when we get to the last 20, 25 minutes of some games that we will be close, the scoreline will be close in, maybe we're going to be behind in a game here and there, that Mikel Arteta can look to those players for an impact coming off of the bench, which, you know, a lot of the time, Lawrence, we get our third or fourth substitute and we're really scratching around looking for some quality to come on from last season, you know?
Yeah. I mean, look, you know, that's been our failing. You know, we do not have the depth in squad right now, as opposed to Man City. And, you know, I keep saying this, and everyone shoots me down on this, but we need at least 8 quality signings to be on the same level as Man City. I know that's not going to happen, but that's what we need. Yeah. Because after, if you can name 15 players that are in the Arsenal squad that are good enough, and then after that, it's just scraps.
Yeah. Moss is in the house as well, and Riddy, the Canterbury Gunnery. Yeah, Raymond and Larry. But Lawrence, I don't know if they go by Larry, but Lawrence would be the one.
No, Lawrence. Never Larry. Never Larry.
Never Larry.
Remember that? I mean, I got so much grief when I was a kid because when I was at school, there was a kid show called Larry the Lamb. And kids would make sheep noises at me, and it just drove me potty.
All right. There you go. Riddy, thanks for being here. Listen, if you've got any questions, drop them in the chat box. I will put a nice little star beside the questions and come back to them. Arsenal and Dublin shirts got me Canada 1 on and ready for the watch along France. versus Canada, Allez Le Rouge. And I wonder if Saliba is going to play a big part in this Canadian, not the Canadian team, but the French team for the Euros. So it'll be interesting to see. I know Didier Deschamps has got he's got an embarrassment of riches, Lawrence, hasn't he?
Yeah. Unlike England, who get beaten by a supermarket.
Iceland. Get your fish fingers in. Get your fish fingers in, no problem.
Oh, you could write this shit up, could you?
Moss said, yes, see if the chumps starts King William today or not. Listen, us Arsenal fans, maybe we're a little bit biased, but we actually think that, Saliba is one of the top six defenders in the world, let alone England, let alone England, but in the world. And we're always going to be fighting for William Saliba. I actually thought, did you see the comments recently from William Saliba? Mikel Arteta told him plain and simple the things that he needs to improve in his game. And he asked him to be more tenacious and more of a bastard on the field. You know what I mean? So
yeah. That doesn't surprise me because Mikel Arteta is that type of person. He's up front with everyone. So
yeah. Reddy says Saliba is second choice for Deschamps, but I'm happy with that as long as he stays injury free. There's a lot of that this summer as well, Lawrence, where we could be crossing our fingers, thinking about Arsenal and not the national teams that are competing in the Euros. We want everybody to come back healthy and fit, and ready to start the new season.
Yeah. I mean, I was cringing when Saka kept getting fouled the other day.
Yeah.
So what I found very, yeah.
It says Saliba and Upamecano starting. Yeah, the other day England played Iceland, right? And Iceland beat England. Okay, it's a preseason game before a tournament. But I remember Gary always saying Ramsdale seems to get caught out on his near post a lot. And that's what happened for this goal. There was a counter-attack on England, and Ramsdale got caught at his near post.
Yeah, but it's, I don't know. I mean, I feel sorry for Ramsdale because I just feel like he's been given the shot by Arteta,
Mm-hmm.
And he is a good keeper on his day. He's a good keeper, but from what he's experienced this season, I just think his confidence has just been totally shot. It's not the same confidence keeper we saw at the beginning of last season, and
what is that?
I just feel like he's got to find somewhere else now. I can't see him getting his spot back in the Arsenal team at all now.
Yeah, and it's up to Arsenal now to find a decent transfer fee for the player. I don't think we're going to be afraid of him going to another Premier League club, but we need to get a decent fee north of about 25 million if possible. 25, 30 million. Recoup what we paid for him from Sheffield United. Reddy said how to spoil a Friday evening watching England get beat by a supermarket. Yeah, look, you get these funny results, I think, leading up to a major championship, a major tournament, a major summer tournament. But we'll see how England.
But this is the second time, Ray, that we've lost to them in the space of 8 years. Granted, it was a friendly this time, but with due respect to Iceland, they're not a powerhouse in world
No.
football or European football.
Yeah.
And this is now twice that they've beaten us in the space of 8 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
We only had one shot. We only had one shot on target throughout the 90 minutes.
Yeah. We shall see how the tournament progresses. Other players on international duty playing friendlies, we saw Leandro Trossard score a wonderful goal against Luxembourg, I think. I don't know if you saw that highlight, did you?
No, I heard about it.
Sesko scored a goal as well, very much like an Odegaard Haaland hookup. So Sesko looking a little bit like a very, very young Haaland, early days, and like I said, I don't want to overhype him, but hopefully we can get him at the Emirates before Friday, before the tournament starts, because that's what a lot of people have been saying, wanted to get done. Also, Martinelli had scored for Brazil, so we got Trossard and Martinelli firing in these preseason games, and I think coming up to, I think it's the Copa America in South America, right?
No, it's out here in the States.
The Copa America is in the States. Okay, all right. So you'll get Brazil in the U.S. Gary's on his way to the airport, I believe, right now. So Gary's be listening in. Thanks for being here, Gary. Rudy said the media agenda against Saka on the front page is disgraceful and sickening. English media will always be pure scum. Yeah, and there's a little bit of a bias there, putting a player, an Arsenal player, and maybe a player of color as well, and blaming him.
Yeah, that's what I was about to mention as well. I just find it sick that, England lose a meaningless game, and they pick on Saka, who did not get onto the pitch until 70 minutes, as if it's his fault. What about Foden? What did he do?
Mm-hmm.
Don't see the papers, mate.
Even so, let's blame some of our own players. Declan Rice was not covering very well, working with Bellingham in midfield. As I mentioned, Ramsdale missing on the near post as well. But what was Foden doing? It came from Foden's side. Foden did not track. Cole Palmer, he's another one who did not track back as well. So why do you single out an Arsenal player who has played only 20 minutes in that international game? And Russ said, Saka is the poster boy, nothing more sinister, silly to think otherwise. Yeah, listen, they really should be, even if he's the poster boy. And look, I think there are. Did Harry Kane play, Lawrence?
Yeah, he missed a sitter. He missed an absolute sitter from about 4 yards back. Yeah,
I would say Harry Kane is more of a poster boy than Saka. That's the England captain right there, Harry Kane. Declan Rice. There's a few. Russ, you're right to say that Saka is one of the bright lights of the English national team, but there is a few more players in that squad that are a little bit more senior and just a little bit more forward than Saka in that England team. And
but how can you blame a player who started the game as a substitute and did not get onto the pitch until the 70th minute? It would take him like 5 minutes to get into the game.
Yeah.
5 or 10 minutes to get into the game. This is typical a typical mindset of the English media.
And Fleet Street.
Typical.
Right?
Yeah, Fleet Street.
Yeah. Bronco and VA, Spencer's here. Hello, Spencer. Thanks for dropping by. Hawkwind. Russ said, everyone bemoaning Southgate, the players were more to blame against Iceland. 100%. Put those players out there. Ross. If England win against Serbia next weekend, it's going to be Kane and Foden on the front page. Yeah. Look, want to move on. What else are we going to? We talked about Trossard. We talked about Martinelli. The Odegaard assist to Haaland for Norway on international duty. The Saudi Arabia, and listen, people are watching right now. Drop in a question here and there. We will highlight that. We're going to get out of here, and we're about halfway through the podcast right now. We'll get out of here in another 20 minutes or so. No, geez, is spelled this way. That's geez. Okay, so Saudi Arabia, Lawrence. There's been some news at Man City that they've extended Ortega's contract, their second goalkeeper, and there's been some news about Ederson possibly going to the Saudi Arabia League as well, and Kevin De Bruyne also. There's been a couple of tidbits about that, and listen, there's not a lot of news out there, but probably expect Saudi Arabia and the Saudi League to come and impact the plans of Premier League clubs this summer.
Yeah. There's going to be a whole load of rumours linking a lot of Premier League players to the Saudi League.
Yeah.
It's over.
Casemiro
Casemiro
going for 100 million, I think, and the Saudi League will overpay for players as well if they have a certain gravitas or name. They pay
it's
for
just
the
ludicrous.
Yeah, and we had that last season with Gabriel Magalhaes as well. A lot of people want to discount that was happening in the first two games of last season. We had Gabriel Magalhaes' head turned. Maybe the club was ready to commit to sell him for a huge amount of money. It's hard to. Why would you drop a player? Okay, you can say the player's head was turned a little bit, but should it really impact their performance?
Yeah, but once a player knows that a big club or a country that's loaded with money is after them, obviously their head's going to be turned because they're thinking about their future,
Yeah. Okay, one of the other things, couple other things out there, Ten Hag and Tuchel, Fabrizio Romano has said that, Tuchel is not really in line for the Manchester United position or manager's job, but it does seem like Man United are still open to talking to other managers out there. And as of now, I believe Ten Hag is still the manager at Manchester United.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he's still there next season because he's won 2 cups for them.
Yeah.
You can't
won 2 cups and got to an FA Cup final last year as well against City.
Yeah.
So actually, the last 2 FA Cups have had the same final pairing for the last 2 years, Man United and Man City. And of course, Charity Shield coming up for what it's worth. So yeah, Manchester United have some real difficult decisions to make. One of the final things to talk about, Lawrence, is Douglas Luiz as well, and that's the latest, probably the newest news related to Arsenal that we may be in for Douglas Luiz.
It's like a long-running soap opera, this one, isn't it? Because we're always linked with him.
Yeah, last couple of years.
It's just if you're that interested in him, then go and get him. It's just, I think it's 2 or 3 years that we've been linked with him, and yet there's never been an official approach made for him.
Yeah.
Or if there has been, it's not been what Aston Villa wanted. The amount of money they were asking for him. Every player's got his price. You can't go thinking you're going to buy everybody on the cheap.
So listen, Russ here says boat has sailed on Douglas Luiz. Villa are in the Champions League now. Why can't we, as the bigger club, and will they be in the Champions League next season, Russ? So why can't we, as a bigger club, muscle our way and ride roughshod over some of the other Premier League teams? Go in and act like the big boys in the league and slap the money down. Have Douglas Luiz have his head turned, come to Arsenal. We are in the Champions League as well, and we have probably a chance to go further than Aston Villa in the competition as well, Russ. So why can't we go, as Arsenal, go to Aston Villa and say, look, we're going to put a substantial number down for Douglas Luiz and take him. We could say the same about Watkins, indeed, but maybe we're looking at Sesko as our forward option, but Douglas Luiz as our midfield option. What say you, Lawrence?
Yeah, I mean, you've got to line your ducks up in a row and list them one, who's the most important player to bring into the club. Obviously, Arteta prioritises on a striker, which is understandable. But then again, we need beefing up in the midfield area and in defence because we've got no cover in those positions.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going to happen with Vieira because he hasn't cemented a spot in the team, and I don't think he's the answer to our problems.
You mentioned Teabag, you mentioned Fabio Vieira. I saw something where he may be interested in going back to Portugal because it just hasn't worked.
It hasn't paid out. I've also been reading that we're after this 19-year-old kid from Benfica, João Neves. I don't know if that's the right pronunciation, but he's supposed to be the next Ronaldo.
Yeah.
Was supposed to be hot on his heels.
And Russ saying we could say the same about Watkins, right? But would Aston Villa, and I believe by under PSR that Aston Villa are one of those clubs that need to sell to be able to. Here we are again. Last season it was Chelsea, and we took Havertz. This season it's Aston Villa and Newcastle, and we may be looking at players from Aston Villa or Newcastle this season as well, just because they've fallen foul of profit and sustainability rules. Go ahead, Lawrence.
Do you remember we were chasing a player of theirs a couple of years ago called Buendia?
Yeah. From Norwich, he went to Aston Villa in the end. Yeah. Exactly.
Well, we were still interested in, and supposedly we're back in the hunt for Osimhen if we don't get Sesko.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But the thing is Napoli are asking over 100 million for him.
I've even seen reports this morning about Solanke from Bournemouth, and that those rumors were out a couple of months ago. So this is kind of silly season, right?
It always is.
Yeah.
A mate of mine says it's like watching tumbleweed. Because the amount of crap that comes out during a transfer window is just unbelievable.
Yeah. It's up to you to use your intelligence. What is probably real and what's not real. Russ here said with regards to Vieira and Emil Smith Rowe, we've been lucky with Odegaard's fitness, but Arteta is risk adverse and rarely rotates. I think there's a lot to that, Russ. I think Mikel Arteta is driven to provide the best team on the field, and he probably has allocated too many minutes to the likes of Odegaard, Saka, Declan Rice, Saliba. You know, all the mainstays of our first 11. He's given a lot of minutes to those players. And when it's come to Emil Smith Rowe and Vieira, there has been injuries involved, but they also have not been of the required standard. We're looking here to bridge the gap from winning FA Cups, which we did 5 and 6 years ago on a regular basis, to actually sustaining Premier League title races and go up against probably the best manager in the world in Pep Guardiola and go up against the team that they've assembled. And, you know, it will come to light how they've assembled that team in the weeks and months coming. And also news that they are counter suing the Premier League. So I do wonder if there is a lot of corruption that is going to be swept out and swept away in these upcoming court battles, you know. But definitely we need to get to a situation where Arteta is less risk adverse, and we need to get to a situation where the Arsenal team, and it's not just the first 11, but 15, 16, 17 players can play regularly and can churn out results against the likes of Fulham, home and away, the likes of Aston Villa, who are a better side, home and away. Whereas we got those results against Man City, Liverpool, Man United, Tottenham. We didn't get the results against Fulham, and we need to become much more consistent as well, because we had situations in our season. Wanted to just finally, we got the last 10 or 12 minutes. If Gary's listening in, he might pique his interest here. But I watched Gary's video about his expectations for next year, and I thought it would be interesting, Lawrence, just to put a marker down for us and what your minimum expectations of Arsenal will be next season, and we can go through the competitions. So let's start off with the Premier League this coming season. Lawrence, what's your expectations of the Premier League?
We've got to win it.
Yeah, I actually agree with you on that one. For first place, because we have come second now to Man City for 2 seasons, and it's time to actually take an extra step forward.
Yeah, I keep saying this. Nobody remembers the team that finishes second. Doesn't matter what the competition is. But now Arteta has got to do the business, and he's got to aim for number 1. Otherwise, it'll be time to.
Well, you might say it'll be time to go, but I'm not going to sack Arteta if it doesn't happen. But that would be my expectation, is to win the league. You know, obviously, if there's extenuating, the things that could go against us, Lawrence, injuries, suspensions. Obviously, poor form would be a bad thing for Mikel Arteta, but you can never estimate what injuries and suspensions will look like. Russ said, saying you have to win the league is a very easy thing to do, but it's Man City. I am saying we have to win the league knowing that it's Man City and knowing the task that is going to be involved in, Russ. So we have to accept who Man City are, and we have accepted that last season. We were not perfect. We lost 5 games and we drew 5 games, Lawrence.
Yeah, plus the investigation into Man City begins in October. So we don't know what's going to happen with that. Are the Premier League going to dock them points during the season for the breaches? Well, there's a whole lot that we don't know what's going to happen next season. I can't see Man City winning a fifth league title. That's virtually near impossible. I think they'll be up there, but with us, but you've got to take into account Liverpool will come in stronger.
Man United, not bad. They can take the pace.
If they take Man United can sort their shit out,
yeah,
they could be up there as well. Aston Villa, we'll see what happens with Aston Villa next season. Whether that we'll see if they can carry on, or if last season was just a one season wonder. You just never know. Maybe we can forget about Tottenham, Chelsea. I think it'll be another year or so before they're back to what they were. But as I said,
so do you think Tottenham they won't take a step forward from fifth place? I mean, it's difficult right now in June, before we know who comes in, who they acquire. It is difficult to say all of that stuff. But yeah,
I don't think so. I don't think so, Ray. I think they may be finished fourth, but I think they're a long way away from challenging us and Man City.
I think
if
Liverpool. If he sticks to his principles, that could be a bad thing because he likes to play open football. And we've seen Mikel Arteta play very secure football at the back and, play really swashbuckling going forward, playing well going forward, but tight at the back. Russ said Villa, I think, will be like Newcastle. They won't be able to handle the league and Champions League. I agree with that, Russ. I think going into the Champions League, and I think Douglas Luiz might know that as well. Going into the Champions League, they might have all they can handle, they care to handle, and might not do well in the league as well. Let's not forget that both Tottenham fell away really badly and left Aston Villa safe in the top four position. Really said this has to be the window where we stamp our authority as a selling club, not get bullied into reducing prices. Yeah, I mean, if we have Ramsdale, I mean, hopefully for his good, he could find the club, but who knows? Lawrence, what's your expectation on the Champions League? I think we need to take another step forward and rather than reside in the quarterfinals, get to the last four in the Champions League at least.
I agree.
And these are minimum. These are minimum targets.
It still burns me that we got beat by Bayern Munich because Bayern Munich were a shadow of the team they were.
Mm-hmm.
If we had played them, I think if we had played that time another 9 times, we'd have won that tie.
Did we? We tailed off a little bit in that. We tailed off a little bit in that week where we had Bayern Munich. I think what happened to us was the occasion. The occasion got to us. The occasion got to us away from home in Porto. We didn't play well away from home in Porto. We lost 1-0 to that goal right at the end. The occasion got to us a little bit. And the home game, we played a very tight game. Trossard scored the goal and it went to a penalty shootout. So if you really are being very tough about it, you could say we topped our group very well, but then in the knockout stages we sort of underperformed in the knockout stages in the Champions League against Bayern Munich and Porto.
Yeah.
If you're really being tough about it. So you agree a semi-final for the Champions League as well, right? And I know it's a different format. But we need to be looking to be even if we're not in the first 8, we need to qualify in the second 8 within that Champions League format.
Yeah, no excuses for that.
Now, when it comes to an FA Cup, I also would like to progress in the FA Cup, and I'm going to set the marker at a semi-final stage in a domestic cup as well, the FA Cup. I'm looking at us having a squad that will be able to sustain Premier League and Cup competitions.
Yeah, well, with regards to the domestic cups, I don't want us sacrificing those 2 competitions like Arteta normally does. I just find that inexcusable that you sacrifice an opportunity to get to Wembley just for the sake of it. You know, I can remember us throwing games away at Nottingham Forest against Southampton, you know, which is inexcusable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, because let's face it, those 2 domestic cup competitions are our best chances of winning a trophy this season. You know, because we don't know what's going to happen with the Premier League season, because that's 38 games. But to sacrifice a knockout tournament in the way that Arsenal have done over the last few years, just unacceptable.
Right. Now, for me, I can understand, and I can make a case for why we did that, you know. But there's been too many FA Cups competitions where we have let it go by us. It's been 4 seasons since we won the FA Cup, and we lost to Nottingham Forest, we lost to Southampton, 2 very tough ones that we should have progressed in. We did lose at the Etihad when we had maybe the better team at Man City, and we did lose at home at the beginning of this year against Liverpool. When we threw everything at Liverpool, we weren't playing well, and we got sucker. We had a sucker punch against us. But the draw being better in the FA Cup, and just if we get like a little bit of a luck in the draw, it should take us to a semi-final, Lawrence, for me.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on the FA Cup? Your minimum requirements.
Well, I would like to see us get to Wembley, but if you twist my arm, semi-final.
All right. Now, when it comes to the Carabao Cup, we will be one of the bigger clubs in the Premier League. We will be one of the clubs in the Champions League. We will want to do something in the FA Cup. Generally, the Carabao Cup is the one where bigger clubs don't tend to put so much resources into it. So I'm going to just go for a last 8 in the Carabao Cup as the minimum.
No, semi-final as well.
Okay. All right. So you have got semi-finals in all the cup competitions and winning the Premier League as like where you want to be, give or take. You know what I mean? Hey, Colonel Ward, hope you're well. Yeah. The alarm is about to go off here. We're going to keep it short to the 2024, a quick 45-minute show. So we're about to get out of here. Lawrence, any final words to say?
Well, I was just going to mention, I don't want to see us wearing that all-white kit for the FA Cup third round like we done for the last few years.
Yeah.
I just find it, unacceptable. If Arsenal want to promote a charity, all they've got to do is take off the Emirates logo and put the name of that charity on the front of the shirt. Because Arsenal is always red and white. I don't want to see us wearing an all-white kit. I'm sorry.
Okay. All right, Lawrence. Not a problem. Listen, that was a quick 2024 show for the Sunday. there are things going on the Sunday and the weekend, especially in the summertime. I'm going to nip off now and watch what's left of the Canadian Grand Prix and see what's happening there. What are you up to next, Lawrence?
I'm going to catch up on some of the international friendlies that I missed.
All right.
I'm going to watch Portugal and Croatia.
All right. Portugal, Croatia, Canada, and France. I know Moss is going to be covering that one as well. And one thing we're going to cover, I think, on Thursday is the highs and lows of our team last season. So have a little think about that, Lawrence. The good points, the highs and lows of each and every player. Like, for instance, I'm going to, not that I'm picking on Ramsdale, but his 2 games against Brentford. He had a high and had a low against Brentford in each of those 2. So there you go. Not picking on Aaron Ramsdale. All right.
All right.
Thanks, everybody.
Right. Thanks again.
Slap a like on the way out, people, and thanks for being here. And let me know what you think about the shorter podcasts on Sundays throughout the summer. As things get busy through the summer, we might drop a show here and there on the Sunday. If there's bigger news and we actually sign a player, we might go a little bit longer. So there you go. Thanks, Lawrence. Take care. We'll see you Thursday.
See you, Rick.
Come on, you guys.